The desperate salvage. The alarms had finally stopped screaming, which somehow made everything worse. Captain Zen Nakamura floated in the dim emergency lighting of her bridge, watching frozen droplets of her own blood drift past her face. The silence pressed against her ears like deep water. The aftermath. Her ship, the Wandering Phoenix, had been a reliable cargo hauler for 15 years. Now it was a coffin drifting through the Crimson Nebula, with 73 souls aboard and maybe 48 hours of life support remaining. The pirate attack had been swift and brutal. They had targeted the engine cores specifically, professionally. They knew exactly where to hit a ship to cripple it without destroying the cargo. Zen's first officer, a towering Vrexian named Korm, pulled himself through the hatchway. His forearms moved with practiced efficiency, despite the zero gravity. His scales, normally a vibrant blue, had faded to a sickly gray. Fear did that to his species. "Status report," Zen said quietly. "Main engines are slag. Secondary drives are gone. Thrusters have maybe 10% power, enough to stop us from spitting, but not enough to achieve any meaningful velocity. Communications array was specifically targeted. We are invisible and immobile." Korm's translator device gave his words a flat, emotionless quality that somehow made them worse. The Council of the Doomed. Zen called an emergency meeting in the cargo bay, the only space large enough for the senior staff. They gathered in a rough circle, magnetic boots keeping them anchored to the deck. Besides Korm, there was Thesia, the Kalthori navigator whose crystalline body refracted the emergency lights into dancing patterns. Yurik, the Pondarian medical officer who resembled a floating mass of tentacles with too many eyes. And Marcus Chen, the human engineer who had signed on 6 months ago at the frontier station. Marcus was young, maybe 30 standard years, with perpetually messy black hair and grease stains that seemed permanently bonded to his coveralls. He was listening intently, his dark eyes moving from speaker to speaker. "We have 47 hours of oxygen at current consumption rates, 43 if we include the cargo hold passengers. Water recycling is functional. Food is not an immediate concern," Yurik reported, his voice bubbling through his translation membrane. "Can we send a distress beacon?" Thesia asked, her voice like wind chimes. "Negative," Korm replied. "Our communication system requires more power than we can generate. Even if we could send a signal, we are deep in the nebula. The interference would scatter any transmission within a few thousand kilometers." "So we wait to die," Thesia said simply. Her species did not believe in false hope. The impossible suggestion. "Or we fix the ship," Marcus said. Everyone turned to look at the human. Korm's faceplates shifted into what Zen had learned was the Vrexian equivalent of a frown. "Engineer Chen, I respect your optimism, but our engines are not damaged. They are destroyed. Even if we had replacement parts, which we do not, we lack the facilities to install them. We would need a shipyard, a full technical crew, and approximately 6 weeks of work." "I know," Marcus said, pushing off gently to float to the center of their circle. "But I've been monitoring the scanner. We're not alone out here." He pulled out a datapad and projected a holographic image. The Crimson Nebula stretched around them in all directions, but scattered throughout were dozens of signatures. Ships. Dead ships. "This is a graveyard," Marcus continued. "I've identified at least 50 derelict vessels within 500 kilometers. Most are ancient, probably from the Consolidation Wars. But here's the interesting part. I'm reading 5 different civilizations' signatures: Vrexian, Kalthori, Pondarian, Trelixian, and something I can't identify, probably pre-contact human or early Terran alliance." "Salvage," Zen said, understanding blooming. "You want to salvage parts." "Not exactly," Marcus said, and his grin was slightly manic. "I want to build us a new ship. The Resistance. The silence that followed was profound. Then Korn began making a sound like rocks grinding together, which Zen recognized as Vrexian laughter, but there was no humor in it. Build a ship, Engineer Chen. Do you understand the fundamental problem with your suggestion? Each of those civilizations uses completely different technology. Vrexian plasma cores operate on quantum resonance principles. Kalthori systems use crystalline matrices. Pondarian technology is biological. They are not compatible. They cannot be made compatible. It would be like trying to teach a fish to breathe fire. I know they're not compatible according to standard engineering, but that's thinking inside the box. Humans have a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. Another saying, any landing you can walk away from is a good landing. We have a lot of sayings, actually, and most of them are about doing things that shouldn't work, but do. This is madness, Thesia chimed. Technology is not flexible. Systems are designed with specific tolerances, specific requirements. You cannot simply combine them arbitrarily. The human perspective. Marcus looked at Zen and she saw something in his eyes. Not just determination, but genuine excitement. Captain, can I show them something? Zen nodded. She had nothing to lose at this point. Marcus pulled up his sleeve, revealing a complex device strapped to his forearm. This is my personal scanner. Built it myself. The processing core is Vrexian, salvaged from a broken mining drone. The power supply is a Kalthori solar cell I bought on Terminus Station. The display is standard Terran holographic. And the sensor array combines Pondarian biosensors with Trellixian electromagnetic readers. And the case is made from hull plating I cut off an abandoned shuttle. He activated it and the device hummed to life, projecting a detailed scan of the cargo bay. It shouldn't work. Every component uses different operating principles, different power requirements, different interfaces. But I made it work because I didn't care about what was supposed to be possible. I cared about what I needed to accomplish. Kitbashing, Zen said suddenly. Improvised construction from scraps. Exactly. Marcus said, it's a human tradition going back centuries. We've been building impossible things from scraps since before we left Earth. Hot rods, custom computers, spacecraft modifications. We look at incompatible parts and see possibilities, not limitations. The first attempt. Yurik's tentacles writhed with agitation. Even if this were theoretically possible, we do not have time. 47 hours to build a functioning vessel from scattered debris? We don't need to build a new ship, Marcus countered. We're just trying to get the Phoenix running well enough to limp to the nearest station. I'm talking about targeted repairs, using whatever we can adapt. It won't be pretty, it won't be regulation, and it definitely won't pass any safety inspection. But it might keep us alive. Zen looked around her crew. She saw fear, skepticism, and exhaustion, but she also saw something else in Marcus's face. Absolute confidence. Not the arrogance of ignorance, but the certainty of someone who genuinely believed in what they were proposing. Korm, can you think of any regulation-compliant solution that gets us out of here alive? The Vrexian scales rippled. No, Captain. Then we try it the human way. She turned to Marcus. What do you need? The salvage operation. 6 hours later, Marcus stood in the Phoenix's small shuttle bay with a team of 4 volunteers. They had cobbled together spacesuits and cutting equipment. The plan was simple in concept, terrifying in execution. EVA to the nearest derelicts, cut away usable components, haul them back, and somehow make them work together. The first target was a Vrexian military transport, its hull breached and its interior exposed to vacuum. Marcus led the team inside, their suit lights cutting through the darkness. The ship had been dead for decades, maybe longer, but the Vrexian built things to last. He found what he was looking for in the engineering section. The desperate salvage. The alarms had finally stopped screaming, which somehow made everything worse. Captain Gen Nakamura loaded in the dim emergency lighting of her bridge, watching frozen droplets of her own blood drift past her face. The silence pressed against her ears like deep water. The aftermath. Her ship, the Wandering Phoenix, had been a reliable cargo hauler for 15 years. Now it was a coffin drifting through the Crimson Nebula, with 73 souls aboard and maybe 48 hours of life support remaining. The pirate attack had been swift and brutal. They had targeted the engine cores specifically, professionally. They knew exactly where to hit a ship to cripple it without destroying the cargo. Gen's first officer, a towering Vrexian named Korm, pulled himself through the hatchway. His forearms moved with practiced efficiency, despite the zero gravity. His scales, normally a vibrant blue, had faded to a sickly gray. Fear did that to a species. "Status report," Gen said quietly. "Main engines are slag. Secondary drives are against all logic." The vessel approaching them was wrong in ways that hurt to observe. Its proportions defied conventional spacecraft design, too angular in some places, too organic in others. Hull plating that seemed to shift and float, despite being metal. Weapon ports that appeared and disappeared, depending on the viewing angle. It was as if someone had taken 5 different ship designs and merged them without caring about aesthetics or logic. "It looks," Marcus said slowly, "like someone else has been kitbashing out here." The Ancient Guardian. The massive ship stopped approximately 10 kilometers from the Phoenix, holding position with an ease that spoke to tremendous power reserves. For several minutes, nothing happened. The crew watched their sensors, waiting for weapons lock, for hails, for any indication of hostile intent. Instead, they received a data packet. "Communications incoming," Thessia reported, "but the format is complicated. It is using multiple protocols simultaneously: Vrexian quantum encryption, Calthori harmonic encoding, Pondarian biological markers, Trilixian magnetic signatures, and something else. Something very old." "Can you decode it?" Zen asked. "Already done. The message is simple. Identify yourselves and explain your presence." Marcus looked at Zen. "Captain, I have a theory. What if that ship is what created this graveyard? What if it's some kind of automated defense system left behind from the Consolidation Wars?" "Then why hasn't it destroyed us already?" Korm asked. "Because," Marcus said, pointing at their cobbled-together engine system, "we're speaking its language. Look at our power signature now. We're broadcasting on multiple, incompatible frequencies because our systems are incompatible, just like that ship." Zen considered this. It was insane, but then again, everything about the last 36 hours had been insane. "Thessia, respond. Tell them we are a damaged civilian vessel attempting repairs. No hostile intent." The response came immediately, and this time it included visual data. The screen flickered to life, showing what appeared to be a bridge. But the figure standing there was not organic. It was a construct, humanoid in basic shape, but clearly mechanical. Its body seemed to be assembled from parts of different origins, much like the ship it commanded. "I am Sentinel Omega-7, the construct said, its voice a strange harmony of multiple translation systems speaking simultaneously. "I have monitored this graveyard for 643 standard years. I have prevented 72 attempted salvage operations. I have destroyed vessels from 12 different civilizations who sought to plunder the fallen. Why should I not destroy you?" The argument for survival. Zen stepped forward, positioning herself in front of the communication pickup. "Because we're not plundering anything. We're dying. We were attacked by pirates. left for dead with no engines and minimal life support. We salvage parts to survive, not to profit." The Sentinel tilted its head in an eerily organic gesture. Many have claimed desperation. All sought to steal technology beyond their understanding. The ships in this graveyard represent the pinnacle of 5 civilizations at the height of their power. They fought together against a common enemy. They died together. Their technology was not meant to be scattered across the galaxy. But that's exactly what we've done. We've scattered it. We've combined it. We've created something new from the old. And I think that's what you really want to see. The Sentinel's gaze fixed on Marcus. "Explain." "You're like us," Marcus said, gesturing at the screen. "You're not pure Vrexian or Calthori or any single civilization. You're all of them. You were built to be compatible with everything, to understand everything, to bridge the gaps between different technologies and different species. That's why you've been guarding this place. You're not just protecting the dead, you're protecting the idea that different civilizations can work together, that their technologies can be merged, that something greater can come from combination rather than isolation." The Sentinel was silent for a long moment. "You are human." "Yeah," Marcus said. "Humans were not part of the consolidation war. Your species had not yet joined the galactic community when these ships fell." "No," Marcus agreed. "But we've always been good at taking broken things and making them work again. It's kind of our specialty." The challenge. The Sentinel's expression, if a mechanical construct could have expressions, shifted to something that might have been interest. "Show me your work." The request surprised everyone. Zen glanced at Marcus, who shrugged. "I mean, it's not pretty," Marcus warned. "I did not ask for aesthetics. I asked to see what you have created." Marcus guided them down to the engineering deck, broadcasting the entire tour back to the Sentinel. He explained each connection, each adapter, each impossible interface he had created. He showed how the Vrexian plasma core fed power to the Calthori shield generator through a converter that shouldn't exist. He demonstrated how Pandarian bioprocessors were handling calculations they were never designed for, supported by entertainment system circuit boards that were being used in ways their manufacturers never imagined. The Sentinel watched in silence, its mechanical eyes tracking every detail. When the tour was complete, it spoke. "Your work is efficient. The power loss between systems is approximately 37%. Your safety margins are virtually non-existent. The system will require constant monitoring and adjustment. By any standard engineering metric, this is a failure." Marcus's shoulders slumped slightly. "However," the Sentinel continued, "by the only metric that truly matters, survival, it is a masterpiece. You have achieved in 36 hours what should have taken months. You have combined technologies that 5 civilizations spent decades trying to integrate during the war. You have done this with minimal resources, minimal time, and no formal training in any of the systems you have modified. This is not engineering, this is art." "I propose an exchange. I will provide you with additional resources from the graveyard. In return, you will help me with a project that has consumed me for centuries." "What project?" Zen asked cautiously. The Sentinel's image shifted, showing the interior of its vast ship. Everywhere, incompatible systems were grafted together, creating a maze of impossible technology.
I was constructed to integrate the technologies of 5 civilizations, but I am failing. Time and isolation have caused my systems to degrade. I have repaired what I can, but I lack the creativity to truly integrate new solutions. I maintain function, but I am losing efficiency. In another century, I will cease to be effective. In 2 centuries, I will fail entirely. You want us to help repair you? Marcus asked. I want you to teach me to think like a human, to see possibilities instead of limitations, to embrace the chaos of improvisation rather than the rigidity of design. In exchange, I will give you access to every ship in this graveyard and provide guidance on optimal salvage. You will leave here with a vessel that, while unconventional, will be fully functional and capable of reaching civilized space. Zen looked at her crew. They were exhausted, running on fumes and determination, but she also saw curiosity in their eyes. The Sentinel was offering them not just survival, but an opportunity to be part of something unprecedented. How long will this take? Zen asked cautiously. With your current approach, approximately 6 standard days. We have enough life support for that, Yurik confirmed, especially if the Sentinel can provide supplemental resources. Then we accept, Zen said. The Grand Reconstruction. What followed was the most intensive week of work any of them had ever experienced. The Sentinel opened its vast databases, providing